What happens when God's people finally take action, but with unexpected consequences? Hey everyone, and welcome to the Unadorned Bible, the channel where we're reading chronologically through the Bible in 1 year. I want to say thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. Today's text reveals a powerful lesson in obedience, justice, and God's plan. The text for today is Numbers 31 and 32, and in this text we see where God commands Israel to go to war, and the tribes of Reuben and Gad make surprising requests that test their commitment. With that being said, let's dive into the reading. Here is Numbers chapter 31. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Avenge the Israelites on the Midianites. Afterward you shall be gathered to your people." So Moses spoke to the people, saying, "Arm some of your number for the war, so that they may go against Midian, to execute the Lord's vengeance on Midian. You shall send 1,000 from each of the tribes of Israel to the war." So out of the thousands of Israel, 1,000 from each tribe were conscripted, 12,000 armed for battle. Moses sent them to the war, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, with the vessels of the sanctuary and the trumpets for sounding the alarm in his hand. They did battle against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses, and killed every male. They killed the kings of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian, in addition to others who were slain by them, and they also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. The Israelites took the women of Midian and their little ones captive, and they plundered all their cattle, their flocks, and all their goods. All their towns where they had settled, and all their encampments they burned. But they took all the spoil and all the plunder, both people and animals. Then they brought the captives and the plunder and the spoil to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of the Israelites at the camp on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan, opposite Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the congregation went to meet them outside the camp. Moses became angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, who had come from the service in the war. Moses said to them, "Have you allowed all the women to live? These women here, on Balaam's advice, made the Israelites act treacherously against the Lord in the affair of Peor, so that the plague came among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man by sleeping with him. But all the young girls who have not known a man by sleeping with him keep alive for yourselves. Camp outside the camp 7 days. Whoever of you has killed any person or touched a corpse, purify yourselves, you and your captives, on the 3rd and 7th day. You shall purify every garment, every article of skin, everything made of goat's hair, and every article of wood." Eleazar the priest said to the troops who had gone to battle, "This is the statute of the law that the Lord has commanded Moses. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, and lead. Everything that can withstand fire you shall pass through the fire, and it shall be clean. Nevertheless, it shall also be purified with the water for purification. And whatever cannot withstand fire you shall pass through the water. You must wash your clothes on the 7th day, and you shall be clean. Afterward you may come into camp." The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "You and Eleazar the priest and the head of the ancestral houses of the congregation make an inventory of the plunder captured, both human and animal. Divide the plunder into 2 parts, between the warriors who went out to battle and all the congregation. From the share of the warriors who went out to battle, set aside as tribute for the Lord 1 item out of every 500, whether persons, oxen, donkeys, or sheep. Take it from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. But from the Israelites' half you shall take 1 out of every 50, whether persons, oxen, donkey, or sheep, all the animals, and give them to the Levites, who perform the duties of the tabernacle of the Lord." Then Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord had commanded Moses. The plunder remaining from the spoils that the troops had taken totaled 675,000 sheep, 72,000 oxen, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 persons in all, women who had not known a man by sleeping with him. The half share, the portion of those who had gone out to war, was in number 337,500 sheep, and the Lord's tribute of sheep was 675. The oxen were 36,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 72. The donkeys were 30,500, of which the Lord's tribute was 61. The persons were 16,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 32 persons. Moses gave the tribute, the offering for the Lord, to Eleazar the priest as the Lord had commanded Moses. As for the Israelites' half, which Moses separated from that of the troops, the congregation's half was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 oxen, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 persons. From the Israelites' half, Moses took one of every 50, both of persons and of animals, and gave them to the Levites, who performed the duties of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then the officers who were over the thousands of the army, commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, approached Moses, and said to Moses, "Your servants have counted the warriors who are under our command, and not one of us is missing. And we have brought the Lord's offering, what each of us found, articles of gold, armlets and bracelets, signet rings, earrings, and pendants, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from them, all in the form of crafted articles. And all the gold of the offering that they offered to the Lord from the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds was 16,750 shekels. The troops had all taken plunder for themselves. So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, and brought it into the tent of meeting as memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. Chapter 32. Now the Reubenites and the Gadites owned a very great number of cattle, when they saw that the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead was a good place for cattle. The Gadites and the Reubenites came and spoke to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elilah, Sebam, Nebo, and beyond. The land that the Lord subdued before the congregation of Israel is a land for cattle, and your servants have cattle. They continued, "If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants for a possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan." But Moses said to the Gadites and to the Reubenites, "Shall your brothers go to war while you sit here? Why will you discourage the hearts of the Israelites from going over into the land that the Lord has given them? Your fathers did this when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. When they went up to the Wadi Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the hearts of the Israelites from going into the land that the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was kindled on that day, and he swore, saying, Surely none of the people who came up out of Egypt, from 20 years old and up, shall see the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, because they have unreservedly followed me. None except Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua son of Nun, for they have unreservedly followed the Lord. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord had disappeared. And now you, a brood of sinners, have risen in place of your fathers, to increase the Lord's fierce anger against Israel. If you turn away from following him, he will again abandon them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all his people. Then they came up to him and said, We will build sheepfolds here for our flocks, and towns for our little ones. But we will take up arms as a vanguard before the Israelites, until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our little ones will stay in the fortified towns because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until the Israelites have obtained their inheritance. We will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has come to us on this side of the Jordan to the east. So Moses said to them, If you do this, if you take up arms to go before the Lord for war, and all those of you who bear arms cross the Jordan before the Lord, until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, then and after that you may return and be free of obligation to the Lord and to Israel. And this land shall be your possession before the Lord. But if you do not do this, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build towns for your little ones and folds for your flocks, but do what you have promised." Then the Gadites and the Reubenites said to Moses, Your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, and our livestock shall remain there in the towns of Gilead. But your servants will cross over, everyone armed for war, to do battle for the Lord, just as my Lord orders. So Moses gave command concerning them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua son of Nun, and to the heads of the ancestral houses of the Israelite tribes. And Moses said to them, If the Gadites and the Reubenites, everyone armed for battle before the Lord, will cross over the Jordan with you, and the land shall be subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not cross over with you armed, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan. The Gadites and the Reubenites answered, saying, As the Lord has spoken to your servants, so we will do. We will cross over armed before the Lord into the land of Canaan, but the possession of our inheritance shall remain with us on this side of the Jordan. Moses gave to them, to the Gadites and to the Reubenites, and to the half a tribe of Manasseh son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon of the Amorites, and the kingdom of King Og of Bashan, the land and its towns with the territories of surrounding towns. And the Gadites rebuilt Dibon, Adaroth, Araror, Atroth-Shophan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth-Nimrah, and Beth-Haran, fortified cities and folds for sheep. And the Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Elilah, Kiriathim, Nebo, and Baal-Meon, some names being changed, and Sibmah, and they gave names to the towns that they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, son of Manasseh, and he settled there. Jair, son of Manasseh, went and captured their villages and renamed them Havoth Jair. And Nobah went and captured Kenath and its villages and renamed it Nobah after himself. This ends the reading for today. Today's reading really makes you think. Are you charging ahead into what's best, or are you just settling for what's easy? Kind of like choosing fast food when you know you should cook at home. It's one of those things. If you're enjoying this journey, hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. Because trust me, this future reading of the Bible is full of plot twists you don't want to miss. I hope you come back tomorrow. Take care.